do you think there's a chance if I even apply? And he's like, well, I have no idea what's gonna happen. I'm finally going to view an apartment today in New York City. I sat down, I looked at Street Easy, and I was like, a beautiful apartment just came up. I should probably say hi. My name's Chelsea. I've been living in New York City for almost 7 years now, and I've moved now. This will be my 11th move in almost 7 years. And now I've lived in Harlem for 3 years in this amazing studio apartment, but I'm looking for a change of pace. I'm looking for a different neighborhood. I'm looking for just something maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little smaller. I don't really know. I'm very open. Also, my budget has increased since I've moved in here. So that's really exciting because now I feel like I can finally live in a space where I can maybe breathe. So that's a little backstory. But basically, I got on Street Easy. It's right near everything, basically. A lot of sunlight, which if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I just have no sunlight in this apartment and I feel like a dying houseplant, and that's something I'm really looking for in my next place. Hardwood floor throughout, which is not a necessity, but it's a huge plus. Heat and hot water is included, which is exciting. The broker listed in here, please call my cell phone number provided to make an appointment to preview. And then after that, please include a telephone number to be contacted with your email inquiry. So I sent an email inquiry, and then I also looked at the broker's profile and I didn't see any contact information. So I actually Googled his name and I found out like a separate profile for him on a totally separate website that had his phone number, so I called it. And so the guy was like, oh, I'm about to head into a viewing, but I just have a few like preliminary questions for you. So he asked me how much I make. He asked me what my occupation was. He asked if it was just gonna be me or if I was gonna like move in with other people. He asked if I had any pets. He asked what my credit score was. And then he told me that I was the landlord's ideal candidate. So I did snag the last viewing of the day, which it'll be rented by the end of the day for sure. And someone else has already applied, but they have a guarantor, and so sometimes they prefer to have someone who they don't have to go through all that extra paperwork. I'm guessing if you're a broker, like, correct me if I'm wrong. And I asked him like if it's not looking good for the later appointments, if he could just like give me a quick text or call or something, and then so I don't have to make the trip. Building amenities, live-in super, that's a huge plus. I feel much safer. A package room, which is great because I have an issue with my packages being stolen at this current place. Smoke-free, which I also like. I'm not a smoker. And there's no dishwasher, but just the amount of space. So anyways, we're gonna go check that out today. Are you ready? The broker called me asking me to come 45 minutes earlier. It already takes me about an hour to get there. And also my subway leaves in like 5 minutes. So I'm like, I better make this. Wish me luck. I have a good feeling about this. I don't know why. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm ready. All of my paperwork, I even brought my laptop so that I can like airdrop any documents you need. Got everything. Let's get this apartment. The person ahead of me in line to view the apartment, because it's like first come, first serve on how you apply, her guarantor didn't have his paperwork ready, so she asked to move to a later appointment, which bumped me up, and luckily I was able to like get there just in time. 2 minutes to spare. I walked in, I immediately knew that this was where I wanted to live. Place is stunning. I'm so bummed. He wouldn't let me film it because there's still a tenant there and wants to be respectful of her stuff, which I get, but I'm like, oh, that's the whole reason I wanted to show you what it looked like. He told me that 2 other people had already applied, and typically it's like first come, first serve, but in this case, the landlord really wanted more of like a personal fit, as well as if they were financially a fit as well. This video right here is me getting the news that I got the apartment when I was at work. This is the first time I've applied to my own place in New York without a guarantor. And the fact that I ended up getting it, I felt like was a complete miracle because I obviously wasn't the first to apply. The second that I walked out of that viewing, I went to a coffee shop. My phone was like on 15%, I think. I sat there and emailed the broker everything that I had because I had attached everything in PDF form to an email draft so that the second I sat down, I plugged his email in and then I sent it off. It kind of does suck though because I didn't really see many other places at all. Otherwise I would have filmed it and showed you. But let me tell you what documents I had brought with me. I had to go to the DMV a couple weeks ago to replace my driver's license that I had lost. So I had a picture of the front and the back of my temporary New York driver's license. And then I had a copy of my passport picture because they needed a picture ID to go with that since there wasn't a picture on my temporary license. And then I had my last 2 pay stubs. I had my last 2 bank statements, just the front page where it gives the balance amount. I didn't include the parts that showed like every charge that I had made. I had my last 2 bank statements from my savings accounts, just the balance page as well. Basically, the more money you can prove that you have, the better. And then I had requested an employment verification letter from my job stating like how much I make, how long I've worked there, and then what my role was. They specifically asked for my employment offer letter, so I had to go back into my email from when I started my current corporate job, and I gave that to them. And then I had asked my landlord to either like be open to being a reference if the prospective landlord would want to contact my old landlord to get a reference. I asked if he would rather do that or write me a letter if he was willing, and he wrote me a really nice letter. And then there was a separate rental application that I had to fill out, and then they also did a credit check, which I did have to pay for. I don't even know if that's legal, to be honest, but it was $25, and so I Venmo'd it to him. I also, like, right when I sent him all this stuff too, I sent him a $500 deposit on Venmo. I'd be really careful with this, sending any money to anyone before you've signed any lease. This is how a lot of people get scammed. I felt nervous doing it since I didn't get anything in writing that the $500 application deposit was refundable, and I also have never had to pay an application deposit before, but I'll get into why I felt okay doing it here in a second. All of this feels like such a risk because you really just have to go off of trust. That does freak me out. I had looked up information on the broker before I went as well, or like on my way there, and I saw that he was licensed. I saw that he had rented several units with that same landlord, not necessarily in that building. And then he gave me his business card, and his business card matched the branding of the application. So I was like, okay, I feel like this guy seems legit. And the fact that he met me in person, and this guy did not seem scammy at all. When he was showing me the apartment, one of my first questions was, do you think there's a chance if I even apply? And he's like, well, it didn't seem like it looked good. This was me to the broker, like person to person. Anything that the landlord requests, I will make it happen. I just want this place. Whatever timing he wants, like I can move in the 15th if that's more convenient for him. I can even move in October 1st because that's when my current lease ends. Once they chose me, he told me, we're happy with moving forward if you can move in the 3rd of September instead of the 1st to give us a couple of days to redo the floors. I'm like, great, redo the floors. Take however much time you need. The lease for my signing was in my inbox the next day after the offer came in. I try to never get too excited until I actually sign the lease because you just never know what might happen, and I don't want to get too attached and end up being disappointed until I actually sign the contract and get the keys. But I spent about an hour carefully reviewing the lease and Googling different clauses to see if they were standard or if there were parts that seemed unreasonable that I might be able to negotiate. So then I signed it via DocuSign and I sent it back to the broker, and then came the payment. There's always been some kind of issue with this part of the process for me, and it's not because I don't have the money, but every landlord has a different preference on method of payment from my experience. For the place I'm moving out of, the guy wanted a wire transfer, which was super stressful, and this landlord requested Zelle, which unfortunately I found out my bank had a $500 transfer limit per 24 hours, which obviously wasn't going to work. We ended up using Venmo, but it takes longer for them to get the payment through Venmo than for Zelle, but he was really understanding and it worked out fine. This whole process was just in one evening also, like within a 3-hour time span. Also, perhaps it's helpful to give you an overview of everything that I paid in this part of the process. To give you an idea, I paid my first month's rent for September, which was prorated since I'm moving in on the 3rd and not the 1st, which was $2,146. I paid 1 month's security deposit of $2,300. I paid an application deposit of $500, as you remember, and then the broker fee was only 1 month of rent for $2,300, and he subtracted the $500 application deposit from before. So then at that point, it was $1,800 to the broker since I already paid that $500. And so the total cost was $6,746. Keep in mind though that I'll hopefully be getting my full deposit back from my previous apartment of $1,450. After that, I contacted my current landlord and I was like, hey, I respect the fact that my lease doesn't end until the end of September. I'm going to be moving out earlier. I am prepared to pay the entire month of September to honor the lease that we have, but I want to let you know I have a lot of flexibility with a new tenant, and I think this was enticing to him because the prices for September, you can charge way more for an apartment probably than you can for October. So he was like, okay, let's try and get someone in. So the broker that he hired contacted me like the next day, and she started showing my apartment. My landlord was able to fill my current space halfway through September, so he only charged me half a month of rent, meaning that I only had to pay $750 for September, so I saved some money there. So when I move on the 3rd, I'm gonna have time to like come back and repaint because I have a couple gray walls here, and time to just actually say goodbye to this place. That's gonna be a whole, everything has been such a whirlwind. But anyway, yeah, he ran a credit check on me. That part was pretty invasive, and he was like, oh, there's a couple dings from several years ago, and I'm like, will that be an issue? And he's like, I don't think so. The success of the situation has to do with being so lucky and seeing the place of my dreams on Street Easy and then acting on it quickly, knowing that I already had all of my documents prepared ahead of time. Anytime you see somewhere on Street Easy that you're like, that place is exactly what I'm looking for, but it looks like it's already been rented, or there's a lot of people who have saved the listing, so there's not really a chance. Find the contact information for the broker, reach out to them and see if they have any other units they're showing that may not be on Street Easy yet. That is like the secret to getting an apartment here, is getting it before it gets posted to all the sites. There's probably so many other sites you can look for in New York. I've got this place on Street Easy, I got this next place on Street Easy, so I mean, I'm a diehard Street Easy person, but I see the listings that are on there and not all of them are that great. A lot of them go really quickly, and for those of us like working full time, it's nearly impossible to find the time to get there in time to see the place and to apply. So you just kind of have to be ready at a moment's notice. So the best thing you can do right now if you're looking for an apartment is get all the documents together and then refresh Street Easy constantly. And if something comes up, get on it, make time, cancel those plans. You can brunch next weekend. I'm very excited and I have some moving vlogs coming your way. I cannot wait for you guys to see the new spot. It's definitely an upgrade. I'm cheesing because I've worked hard and I've earned this, and I feel just like it's just so aligned. The fun part is that I get back from vacation on the 1st of September, and then I have that night and then the 2nd to pack and then go get my keys, and then I move on the 3rd. So like I've already booked movers. I've already like looked into changing over my Con Ed, changing my address, but obviously I don't feel comfortable at the moment mentioning which neighborhood I'm going to be moving to, just for like safety reasons. I want to start fresh in a new spot. It's just for safety. It's not because I don't really want you to know. It's because those people out there that are kind of creepy. I ask that if you ever do find out, don't mention it in the comments. Just keep your girl living alone as safe as you possibly can, okay? You're the best. So that, my friends, is how I got my next apartment living in New York. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If I don't know the answer, maybe someone else will. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you are not subscribed already, make sure to do that because we have a whole moving series coming your way. I will see you in my next video. I love ya. Yay! Bye!